Okay, let's talk animated GIFs. The cool thing about Photoshop, one of the very many cool things about Photoshop, is that you can actually do some simple animation in here. So I have created a basic logo here. You can see, and by the way, this was up here like that, and I actually ripped it off to get it this way. And I have all of my layers over here on this side, and you can see that what's going to happen is things can turn on and turn off. You see, this is my basic graphic here, and then I'm going to turn these things on and off to make it look like this is animated. So how do we do these things? We have to work in the timeline window. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open up the timeline, which I also ripped off here. And you can see that all of my layers are showing up as individual items or layers here in the timeline. This is why it's so important that anything that is going to be turned off, moved, turned on, whatever, needs to be its own individual layer. Like, you can't turn something on and off, two shared things, if they're grouped together or on the same layer. It won't work. Everything has to be individually layered. Also, if you're going to work here in Photoshop, you need to have all of your layers turned on. Anything that's going to be seen at any time needs to be turned on in your layers. Now, if I play this, you can watch what happens here to my animated GIF. Now see, all my layers are on, and then here they shut off. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And that's just a simple thing of turning layers on and off. So I'm going to show you now, if I create something from scratch, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a brand new layer here, an object, and I'm just going to go ahead here and just grab something simple. Let's just go ahead and grab a rounded rectangle tool and just dump that there. You can see that my layer is right here. It's also here, so it doesn't actually start until just about everything else finishes. So I do want to drag that down here and just drag it on my timeline. Now I have to do some things to make this work. Since I used a basic shape, I need to go ahead and I need to rasterize this image. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to right click on here and select rasterize the layer. I want to show you real quick. If you click on here on the picture itself and right click, you're going to get a different menu than you do if you right click here and select rasterize. And you need to do that really only if you're using these shapes over here. If you draw something or you have an image like that, it's not necessarily going to work that way. You don't have to rasterize first. If you have text, you probably have to rasterize first, depending on what font you use. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to rasterize the layer. And I'm also going to go in here, now that it's rasterized, and this is something you pretty much have to do to anything that you're going to want to zoom in, zoom out, make any transformative changes to. You have to go ahead and transform it to a smart object or convert it to a smart object. So I'm going to go ahead and do that first. Now I could reposition it and things like that and use the opacity without converting to a smart object, but if I want to do any zooming in or zooming out, anything that requires a transform, I need to have it be a smart object. So the things that I can control for this object are right here. Had I not converted to transform, this would say position, but this transform and position are right now the same thing. So I can go ahead and click this, which means that I want to start timing it and using the keyframes. So let's say I want it to start there like that, that's fine. Where actually that's finishing, you can see that it's putting the keyframe down here at the very end. So it's giving me where I want it to start. And then maybe I want it to finish there too. So I want it to start and finish in the same place so it looks kind of seamless. Actually, let's have it start and finish like right here lined up to the edge. And I'm going to move here and have it start and finish right there so that I know that it's starting and finishing in the same place, so it always looks seamless as it repeats. That's important because you always, if you're going to have an animated GIF that plays over and over again, you want the start and the end to be the same place. And now I can go in here and I can make a keyframe by clicking this, adding and removing a keyframe. Now I can move this object. You can see what happens to it as I move my playback head. Let's hit another, put a keyframe in here. I can move it and I can transform it, which I'm going to hit by hitting Control T. That's one of my speed keys, but you could also do that up in the menus. And drag this out like that. I have to hit Enter to accept that transform. I can also go in and play with my opacity if I wish. I'm going to go ahead and click this on opacity to trigger that. That's 100%. Here I'm going to have it maybe fade down to, I have to put another keyframe in first. Have it fade down to maybe 50. Take it over here and bring it back to 100. And really, these are going to be the main things that you will probably be doing in a animated GIF. You'll be turning things on and off, moving them moving them around, and doing the opacity changes is what I usually see students wanting to do the most. But I have some videos that give you a little bit more details, like importing videos and things like that. And those are the videos that are linked down below. So I don't want to do it that way. Let's go ahead. You can't see here that I'm going to File and I'm going to Save for Web. And I'm going to go ahead and I can save it as an animated GIF. I'm not going to worry about all of these things, but I can play it right here. Now the first time is going to be a little rough. It'll get smoother the more it plays. Now see, watch the important thing, how I had it start and finish at the same place, so if it loops it's going to be really smooth. Okay, that's fine, so I can go ahead and save this as whatever I want to call it. Now remember, if you're going to put this in a website, you don't want any spaces and you don't want any funky characters. But for right now, I'm just going to call it that. I hit save and I'm done.